Hello. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined by Josh Bowe. I somehow had a multi-day absence because I must be a slacker this season. But I'm joining you again after a really fantastic Mavericks game. They just defeated the Timberwolves in what is probably their marquee win of the season, 115-108. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing? The people... I just want to say before you respond to that, I know I just asked you how you're doing and now I'm talking, but just want you to know the people miss their Kirk. They demand your presence after these games. So I'm glad to see your face because I don't think I can carry this podcast without your takes and your sultry voice.
Look, man, it's a special sauce. No podcast goes for 3 years without things working the right way, and we are an outstanding team when we're both coherent, which is more and more difficult as we get older. But hey, here we are. Dallas Mavericks just won against the best team in the Western Conference, one of the best teams in the NBA, a 115-108 victory in a game that, if you're watching it live, I'm going to be curious to read our sort of commenters' reactions because we were talking about this during the game. The Mavericks felt like they were in control for so much of the game. And honestly, I felt like they should have been ahead by more. Shots weren't falling down. There were interesting miscues. And, it wasn't until late in the third quarter where I think it was a Tim Hardaway 3 and a Luka Doncic layup gave the Mavericks a 9-point lead heading into the fourth, where I felt, okay, maybe they are going to really pull away from this one. And then to start the fourth, the Mavericks had like another Benny Hill, like just comedy of errors. And the Wolves worked their way back into it, actually take a lead. They went on I think it was a 13-0 run to give themselves a 106-100 lead with 4 minutes and 55 seconds to go. And then the Dallas Mavericks played... the Wolves lost their minds. Like, that kind of can't be properly stated. I really want to, like, the TV timeout and the use it or lose it timeouts that both coaches used absolutely destroyed the Minnesota momentum. And then the Mavericks, they held the Wolves in the final 5 minutes of regulation. Okay, final 4 minutes and 55 seconds. The Wolves scored 2 points, meaningful points.
And those 2 points came when the game was pretty much over. Like, it was, I think Edwards got a dunk when the Mavs were up like 6 with like 15 seconds left. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, you're right. We talked about that in Slack. I felt like the Mavericks were going to win this game. It just felt like they were going to win from pretty early on. And I know the fourth quarter made things pretty harrowing and maybe complicated things more than it should have. But the Wolves offense kind of stinks. Looks like on cleaning the glass, they're 16th in offense. Last 2 weeks, entering tonight, last 2 weeks, they were 20th in offense. And I know that they've beaten the Mavericks twice, but the second game was without Luka and Kyrie, and the Mavericks still kept it close all the way to the end of the fourth quarter. Something about playing this Minnesota team, and it's not just this Minnesota team, just whenever the Mavericks play a team that is not a good above average offensive team, it feels like they have a chance because their offense is good enough that if they're finding their groove and they're doing what they should do, and Luka and Kyrie look like the all NBA shot making gods that they are, it kind of cancels out all the Mavericks' warts in a weird way, at least within the regular season. Playoffs is a completely different story, but like in the regular season, if the Mavericks are going against a good team, for me, it's like, okay, does that good team, are they good because they're a good defensive team or an offensive team? And the Wolves are You know, they're the best defensive team in the league, but they struggle to score, and you felt that throughout this game that the Mavericks defense was just not tested as hard as maybe when they're playing against
Sure.
City or they're playing against a Denver. It's just different, and especially with the way the Mavericks defend, like we feel like some of their guys are a little bit better in one-on-one situations. It's the off-ball stuff that really kills them, and transition really kills them. The Wolves aren't running in transition, and their off-ball stuff is whatever. You know, it's a lot of Anthony Edwards and garbage points in the paint. And really, it was often, you know, the offensive rebounds was mainly the main reason they were in this game. So yeah, the Mavericks can't guard Anthony Edwards. Not really a lot of other people can. But you look at the rest of their roster, and it's like, there's just not as many threats as you think. So I don't know. I felt like the Mavericks kind of took care of business. I thought their offensive. I thought Luka and Kyrie were incredible.
Well, let's be fair here.
Yeah.
Because I think he deserves his flowers, because I think we've sort of had the specter of criticizing Kyrie for most of this season. That was a sublime basketball performance from him.
That's probably his best game of the season.
Yeah, and maybe as in a Mavericks uniform, though there were a couple last year that were pretty damn amazing. I wrote in the recap that game is why you go get Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. That's the argument, because Luka finished with a nice line, but Luka's game was weird. And obviously imperative to why they won. Make no mistake. I'm not criticizing Luka at all. I thought his defensive effort was really kind of outstanding for Luka. But the offense from Kyrie was just, I mean, we've watched 3 games in a row of him looking like an artist. And granted, when you play the Portland Trailblazers, you kind of want to roll your eyes at elements of what you're doing. But his 3-point shooting, his quick trigger on those threes, I really like. He's too good of a shooter to pass up some of these threes that he's been doing in the offense.
I know.
And it's just beautiful to watch his set shot where he catches it off, you know, the pass or a chest pass right in the shooting pocket. I really just love watching him shoot the basketball in that way. And, you know, to read his line, 35 points on 14 of 27 shooting. He only took 1 free throw, which is ridiculous. He was 6 of 8 from the 3-point line. He had 8 rebounds, including 5 on the offensive end, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. For a 6'1", 170-pound guard, and I know people will probably argue with me on the measurables. Don't care. He's small. That's fucking amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, and it was such a shame when he got hurt, because he started the season pretty slow because he had the multitude of injuries that he was dealing with in the preseason. And then somewhere around mid-November, he had a stretch like from November 12th, basically till he got hurt, where he was, you know, routinely like, he was averaging like 25 or more per game, and he was starting to shoot the 3 better. Then he got hurt and he's gone, and he comes back, and that loss against the Jazz, his first game back, he looks like a guy that hadn't played in a month. And you're just kind of like, oh, our injury is just going to zap him, because is he going to be on that constant train of working his way back, coming back and being rusty, and then missing more games by the time he gets into a groove? Kind of like what Kristaps Porzingis was doing, like his last season or 2 with the Mavericks. Like just that constant strain of going in and out of the lineup and revving yourself up and rehab and all that stuff. It just takes its toll. So it was really nice. Like the last 3 games, he's been amazing. Like he's been terrific. His production almost looks a little modest because he hasn't had to play the 4th quarter of the previous 2 games before this Wolves one. So like you look at 24 and 29, you're like, oh, that's pretty good for Kyrie, but it's like he could have had 40 if they needed him to in those 2 Portland games. So to see him continue that against a team that's really good, like the Wolves, and defensively is very good, was fun to see. Funny enough, Kyrie kind of feels like the perfect player to break this Wolves defense. And this Wolves defense is so good. And why they're so good is because they're big and they're long. And, you know, Rudy Gobert is a defensive player of the year candidate. Jaden McDaniels is a huge Swiss Army knife guy. And Towns is not a great defender, but when he's not the sole rim protector, like he's a big dude, like just having his arms out there. Anthony Edwards is a big guy as well, but they don't have a lot of point of attack defenders. Like you look, like, you know, Conley's okay, but he's older and he's small. And Jaden McDaniels is okay, but you want him on a wing. Like he's just too big usually. And like Kyrie's ability, you know, not only to attack from the point of attack, like they just didn't have a good one-on-one matchup, but also he doesn't need to get and score at the rim at will to be successful or go to the free throw line.
He takes a lot of tough
mid-range,
8-foot stuff. Yeah.
Which is what the Wolves will give you. And funny enough, I've got it. Oh my gosh, I just had it. The Mavericks shot 6 of 11 for mid-range, which is like really good. And that's, you look at that and you're like, oh, well, that's pretty lucky. But it's like, no, I mean, that's Kyrie. That's like Luka. Those players shooting those shots is a good thing. And I think, Gobert's going to wall off the rim. Kyrie, like, if you wall off the rim against Kyrie, that's like, that's not like the number one way to stop him. You know what I mean? Like, he's totally fine pulling up, living in the mid-range, hitting threes and stuff like that. So I felt like he's a good advantage against this specific Wolves defense, just the way they're set up.
I just, it's one of these contests where you go into it and the Mavericks are still so flipping size deficient. You kind of come prepared to talk about this game where it's like, all right, this is just a game where the Mavericks got beat. Rudy Gobert had 4 offensive boards in the first quarter, and it was just gonna be one of those games.
He finished with 6.
He finished with 6, which meant the team effort that went into this. And so you're talking about point of attack, like defensive stuff with the Wolves. Again, we try not to be refs guys, but what the Wolves do and what a lot of good defenses over the last several years have done, the bubble Lakers are a great example of this, is they essentially foul the shit out of you on every play and demand that the refs call everything. Tonight, Edwards, Towns, and Gobert got called for stuff that they seemed baffled by. And there are going to be nights like that because they're just a big physical team. And the Mavericks, honestly, just to be quite candid, did not necessarily take advantage of the fact that the Wolves were in foul trouble. They rarely held a lead past 4 or 6 points. And there were opportunities, particularly with the kind of shots that Tim Hardaway got and just missed. Grant Williams missed a lot of open shots. It felt like they cut Josh Green out of the rotation in the second half. No, he still played 31 minutes. But Josh Green didn't shoot shots. Yeah. And so it's like, Seth Curry was 0 for 3 and had some great looks. It just, there were opportunities, I think, for the Mavericks to really actually go up big on the Wolves. It just never happened. And so that's why this win sort of feels even more important. I'm looking at the 3-point shooting numbers. The Mavericks were 37.5 from the floor, 15 of 40. But, it was Luka and Kyrie who hit 11 of 20. And so everybody else on the team sort of struggled with the open looks that they have. And that's not necessarily always going to be the case. It's just a really, the Mavericks missed a lot of free throws. This was just one of these games which I was worried they were going to sort of drop away. And instead they pulled through in just such an impressive performance. I do think the Wolves self-destructed a little bit, but it takes 2 to tango. And I find myself leaving this game as positive a feeling about this Mavericks as I have been in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game last season. Once the Wolves take that 6-point lead, they probably lose, right? If this was last season's team. So that's a good sign, not only having Kyrie and Luka play well in the clutch, which is nice. Kyrie hit those 2 threes when they were down, which felt like kind of those. I mean, those were huge shots. But not only that, you were starting to get a little nervous because it felt like everyone besides Kyrie and Luka was missing all of their shots in the fourth quarter. And you're like, oh man, here we go again. And then Derrick Jones Jr. has that awesome dunk that basically was the cincher that sealed it, which is something you don't, Kirk, when was the last time you saw a Mavs role player get a driving game sealing dunk against a really good team? And you're going to probably struggle to find an answer
ever. I mean, and the thing about that is a lot of the Mavs fandom have kind of rightfully said, why isn't Jones being used in that rim, in that sort of, what do you want to call it? Release valve point at the free throw line extended area more often for double teams.
Yeah.
I think the reason you don't use it as often as we might like is because you sort of want to save it, because the Wolves they were not prepared for that at all.
No. And Powell set a nice screen in the paint, like kind of on Gobert, so Gobert couldn't even help. Like it was really good, like everyone doing the little things right to make it work.
Sure. And you have all these different options where right now I feel like the Mavericks can throw 3 or 4 different guys in that sort of roll man spot and get interesting results. So
yeah, and plus Jones became kind of a rim runner because the teams he was playing on, he was like playing backup 5, and like now that he's starting, he's I know Lively wasn't playing, but like it's kind of hard for him to be a rim runner when he's playing next to Derek Lively. So like that makes it tough. So maybe when you do some bench units when he's on and Lively's off, you can do a little bit more of that. But it does make it. He kind of has to space a little bit more if he's playing next to a traditional center.
Call me a sicko, but let's put Jones in that middle spot and maybe put Derek Lively in the dunker spot or in the corner every now and again, just to really baffle teams. Like I want to see like some true sicko mode stuff, because number one, I want to see Derek Lively shoot a 3, just because I heard about it so much during the draft process. Still have yet to see it in a game, I think, and also just because I think he would be a terror coming from the weak side, because they used KP that way a few times, where he would often roll from like the weak side in for a jam, and it's just I need to see it. Okay, let me shill for a second, guys. There's great number of people in here. If you haven't subscribed to the show, would really love it if you could go down to within the stream here, click the like button, go ahead and click subscribe to this show. Josh and I, one of us, is recording almost every show. This season, I've also been doing less of my fan interaction shows where you guys can come up here and talk with Josh and I. I'm going to be doing one of those tonight, even though I didn't broadcast it. Just because I didn't know how I would be feeling at a given time. But an early game, Sunday night, we're gonna have a great time. So stick around. We'll try to do like a 30-minute show where you guys can come up and talk basketball with me, kind of as quickly as possible, and we'll have some fun. But I really appreciate your guys show support. I know there might be a few people out there who listen to Apple still. We're very close to getting this Apple issue solved. It is not our fault. It is absolutely killing Josh and I that we haven't fixed it, but here we are. Okay. Thanks so much for sticking with me on that. I have a little bit of a riff that I need to get off my chest here that I've been thinking about the last couple of days. Not a big deal, but it's just I did it a little bit the last time I was on, and I'm doing it in here tonight, where it's like I'm watching some of the comments, I'm watching some of the Twitter replies that I'm getting, and like, guys, I can't implore you to enough. If your first reaction to this game is to go, well, we still don't have enough size. Well, this is a problem, and this player is not very good. Take a deep breath, take a lap, and enjoy the fucking victory. I'm sorry. This was an awesome game.
I feel like if you're saying this, that it's gotten bad.
I am an asshole who cannot help but see the dark and stuff. It is where I live. It is how my brain functions. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing is more and more of that, and I don't want that for fans. I don't like telling people how to fan. I do that sometimes, and it's very not okay. We've seen different people in the Mavs organization tell us how to do that over the years, and it drives me nuts. But I'm just telling you guys, the victories don't come often enough in life. You need to enjoy it a little bit. There are going to be times when we come in here and we fucking hate watching basketball. Tonight is not one of those nights. This was an awesome win. It was a great time, and I don't really want to hear how Kyrie Irving doesn't fit. I don't really want to hear how Josh Green isn't an NBA player. I don't want to hear this stuff. They just beat the best team in the West. Enjoy it. Sorry.
Who was anyone in your mentions talking about Kyrie?
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean, there's a couple people in our comments here, and I get direct messages all the time. It happens where I'm just
After tonight. Come on. They don't win this game if they don't have Kyrie. Like,
lighten up, Francis.
This is the game. Like, this is the blueprint, right?
I would rather be lucky than good. I'm sorry. I just would. And if you want to attribute elements of this game to luck, fine. We suffered through last year and it fucking sucked. And I know I'm cursing too much. I get some messages, right? People tell me to curse, but I use the F word like it's salt and pepper in a meal. It's just it's too often. So I have some people saying, I get a lot of DMs, I get a lot of messages. It's just that sentiment is out there where it's just like, we still need to do more. I don't disagree that this Mavericks team has a ways to go and there are deficiencies in the roster. I'm just saying, let's enjoy the ride a little bit, just a little bit. If I'm that's all. Sorry, too much.
I'm with you. And I wonder. I feel bad. I tweeted this last week. So last season, the Mavericks on January 2nd were 22-16. And the Mavericks right now are currently 22-15. So I wonder if that has spooked people into being like, oh God, like if the Mavericks lose their next game, they're going to have the exact same record at the same point of the season as they did last season. And
Absolutely
I wonder
hilarious.
People are going to get PTSD. Like
absolutely hilarious.
So I wonder. I feel bad. I wonder if people are thinking
but
that.
At this point last year, the Mavericks looked teetering because Luka, he just averaged for the month of December. Luka Doncic averaged 38, 8, and 11. I think maybe even 12. Luka averaged during that 7-game win streak something like 45, 10, and 12, and they needed that against some of the worst teams in the league. That's all.
They were only 22 and 16 because they played 7 in a row against like non-playoff teams.
Yeah,
for the most part. Yeah,
right.
So we'll see. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, that was a fun game.
This was the win. They have 4 more wins. They have 4 more games in this home stretch against challenging teams: Memphis, New York, New Orleans, New Orleans. None of those are guaranteed. This was the one. This was the defining win of this stretch where if they get that, so they're 3-0 in this homestand, 3-0 on a win streak. And so it's just something to build off of. And they did it with Luka looking a little. The Wolves give him problems, and I want to. Should we kind of talk about why? What can you kind of walk us through? What do they do to make life hard for him?
Well, they just have so much length. And with Luka, I mean, he loves to pick out the weak link, and with the Wolves, it's hard to pick out the weak link because everyone on their team is so big. I mean, you would think it would be like Conley. But I don't think the Wolves switch a lot. Like I didn't see them switch a lot. They play a lot of drop with Gobert. So he really has to make a lot of jumpers to be good. And with Luka, his jumper can kind of either be
I think
an all or nothing.
He doesn't want to take a jumper though.
No, I know.
And I just kind of think he should. Like he tried some like 12-foot floaters, and sometimes that game's incredible for him. But he was really like the 2-point shots tonight looked hard to come. They were not easy to come by.
No, but he ended up, taking 3 mid-range shots, made 2 of them, which was good. He made 4 of 9 above the break threes. He took 3 corner threes tonight, by the way, which I don't know. I would have to look that up. I don't know if he's ever taken 3 corner threes in one game because he he opened the game.
Hit any of them?
He hit one of 3.
Okay.
Yeah. He opened the game pretty passive.
Ooh.
Like he let Kyrie kind of,
which is good.
Wait, yeah. No, that is good. That's not a criticism at all. The only thing is, I wish they would make better use of him when he's off the ball instead of him just kind of standing, in the corner or whatever. But that's a conversation to have after a different game, not this one. But yeah, Gobert's great at the rim. They've got, Jaden McDaniels, who's a really good wing defensive player. Anthony Edwards, when he's like on ball and locked in, is like a Terminator. Mm-hmm. I mean,
he
had that steal of Luka, I think was in the 3rd or 4th quarter.
Luka does not get picked off like
that.
No.
Yeah, that was not like you just don't see that happen to Luka all the time. So yeah, they've just got, they demand you to take, maybe shots you're not comfortable with, the Wolves. Like they play the percentages, and they've also got the defenders to kind of force you into the shots that you don't want to take. And so, with Luka, who's so used to just being like, I get to do whatever, defense be damned, I kind of impose my will on the game to go against the defense that's so good that makes him maybe do some stuff that he's not used to doing. They don't switch a lot. So that makes it, I just think it makes it a little tougher. And we say all that, and he had what did he have? 34 on 26 shots. Like he made almost half of his threes. Like he still ended up figuring it out. He only had 3 turnovers, 8 assists. Like, it's just hilarious but we were watching this game. We're like, man, Luka just doesn't look like Luka. And he still had an all NBA line and he was still pretty efficient, which I think just goes to show how good he is.
Really something. Look like kid. So I got an interesting comment, and I don't know what I just sort of want to throw it out into the chat and to everybody for thoughts. With, you got injuries to Derek Lively, you have injuries to our guy. What's wrong with me? Exum, sorry. Injury to Exum. So you're down 2 players. So you kind of got to run a short rotation.
Yep.
Do we think there's anything to the fact that the Mavericks may sort of need to shorten their rotation to about 8 guys? Like, is that a thought, or is that just me kind of casting out into the wind?
Well, let's say Lively and Exum are healthy. They played basically like 7 guys tonight. You had 2 more that gets you to 9. I don't know. Like, is there someone when Lively and Exum are back that played tonight that shouldn't be playing? I know Mavs fans are going to say Dwight Powell, but I don't know. He's doing his job. He's doing his job for the most part.
Like is Grant?
Is just say it if you like.
I don't know, because like
you're trying to lead me into
no,
saying
because
it.
I honestly don't know, because like the Grant stuff is so weird. He I didn't think he necessarily played a bad game. It's just I feel I'm really zeroing in on his mistakes at this point, because I just need him to hit an open 3. His shots are so wide open, and he just can't hit. Now he did that great drive, left-handed layup, and I think it was fourth quarter, it might have been third quarter, and then he just proceeded to clang a 3, and it's like, oh my god, it's really I just
have 2 blocks, which was nice. Like, I think it's just, I mean, it's disappointing that he's now a bench guy, and it's disappointing that he didn't play in one of the Portland games, but like the previous 2 games before this one, they play Portland and they play Utah, which are 2 non-playoff teams, and he had 6 total points combined. Like, just he's in a fun, I don't know, like I keep waiting for him to just like have a game where he makes like 5 3-pointers, because they're so open.
The last time it happened was against the Lakers. Yeah,
I know. So it's been a while, and then he made 4, and it was against the Spurs, and that was before Christmas. So I don't know. Now that he's coming off the bench, it doesn't feel as impactful, like, because he was starting before and playing 32 34 minutes. I mean, I think the fear was, because he was their kind of marquee offseason move, was like, are they going to be able to reduce his role? Because it was pretty clear the way he was playing that they needed to change something up. So, I mean, he played 20 minutes. He didn't play 30. It's still a mystery that he can't make some of these shots that he's making, and his defense seems to be really up and down. So, I mean, they're going to need him to play. I mean, he's playing backup center now. I don't think when Lively comes back, they're going to just phase him out because he's just important.
No, you're probably right. I don't know.
I feel like now that he's off the bench, that takes away a big maybe chunk of the frustration watching him play, because if he's not closing games, he's not starting games. Like, I feel like that's kind of like the best compromise you can get while he's playing poorly. Because I just don't feel like he's going to be someone you just take out of the rotation completely.
So in our Slack, you had kind of an interesting comment that I want to flesh out a little bit more, because you said that during the game, you're like, sometimes it's really funny watching the Mavericks on defense when Luka and Kyrie are both on the floor, because it feels like neither of them are actually guarding a particular person. Could you walk me through that a little more?
It was a possession in the first quarter, and to be fair, they got better about this as the game went on. Gosh, I need to find the possession.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, it was a possession.
Describe what you mean, like when you say that.
Yeah, it's just they're hovering off ball and they're not guarding anyone, and they're not. It's not one of those things where they're like shading or helping. It's like they're legitimately just kind of standing still while players are just like moving around them freely and getting open. And I think someone scored a layup on that possession. But yeah, it was a possession where the ball was on one side, Luka and Kyrie are on the weak side, and they're literally just kind of it's almost like they're playing zone, which I know they're not, because no one else is. And it's just, they're just space cadetting on the weak side of the floor. And the Minnesota did something, I can't remember what it was, but they got like a layup or they got a score or an open. I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was just funny because I was like, boy, that's not good. Like, it's not good to have that when your 2 best players are doing that on the defensive end. But to be fair, I didn't really see much of that past that possession. But it does give you a little slap in the face reminder where it's like, okay, if your 2 best players are Luka and Kyrie, there are going to be moments, because they're not exceptional defenders.
Sure.
Every possession, like, that's going to happen. So I don't know. It was just funny to watch. And I was a little worried because it happened in the first quarter. I was like, if this keeps happening, this is going to be a bad loss. But they cleaned it up. To be fair, they cleaned it up. Also helps that Jaden McDaniels, who Luka was guarding a lot, like, got monstered of all of his offensive talents tonight. I think that dude could not buy a shot, even if he wanted to. And he scored 16 points in his last game. So it was just he had a particularly rough night, so he could even make him pay if Luka was sleeping on the defensive end. But yeah, that's all. I mean, it's just
So
you got
that leads me into my next question.
okay.
My eyes were telling me that Luka Doncic challenged 3-point shots harder than I've ever seen him challenge 3-point shots in my life. Is that a real thing? Did that happen tonight, or am I just nuts?
No, I think so. Like I said, I think after the first quarter, I thought they were a little bit they were way better. Being attentive off the ball and rotating and making the rotations. And the Wolves shot 31% from 3. McDaniels was 0 of 5. Reed was 1 of 4. They also I feel like they let the people that should shoot threes shoot. Like you probably want McDaniels shooting, even if
McLaughlin though is pretty good, and he was 2 of 7 from 3. I feel like he torched the Mavericks in a previous outing.
I think he did.
I'm gonna go look at his box scores.
Well, Reed, I mean, remember in the first game they played this season, the Wolves and the Mavs, Reed made what, like 7 threes?
Yes.
And he only made 1. So, I mean, I don't know how much of that was a defensive adjustment or luck. But that was huge. I mean, Reed was kind of a non.
I'm wrong about McLaughlin. Sorry.
You are. You might be thinking of that other guy. He's not on the Wolves anymore. That people wanted the Mavericks to sign. Noel or whatever his name is. Sure. He's on Memphis now. But yeah, that was a big difference. Like Reed kind of did what he wanted at the rim. He drove by Josh Green from the 3-point line, and I was kind of like, what's going on there? That was kind of weird.
I coach a 7-year-old's basketball team today, and we got beat 24-4 yesterday. And so the coach and I decided to really attempt to like show these 7-year-olds what is defense? And it's like the basic rule is do your best to stay between the ball and the basket. And every now and again, Josh Green does this thing where he sidles someone at 27 feet. And he's like, you should go to the rim. And I'm just like, I lose my mind at that. Now, I know that's because he's overplaying a particular hand, but it's like when you overplay a guy that hard, he's going to use the weak hand. You're just giving him a path to the basket. And Josh isn't big enough to do that sort of thing. Anyway, just sort of a thought I had in my head. Jared Sullivan says 24-4, sack the coach. You're right. You're not wrong, man. All right. Is there kind of anything else we need to hit on here?
We need to talk about the Mavericks having 8 blocks, I think, for the 3rd consecutive game.
Ooh.
As a team. They also had 7 steals, so 15 stocks. They had talking about this with our man Matt Martinez last Portland game. I think in the 2 Portland games, they had 36 combined steals and blocks in those 2 games, and now they had 15 in this game. So they are making defensive splash plays in a way that they were not doing in the first month or 2 of the season, which makes a difference.
Sure.
Jones had 3 blocks. It's funny. Powell had 0, not to pick on him, but like all their blocks came from like Josh Green had 1, Kyrie had 2, Jones had 3, Grant Williams had 2. Jones had 3, and his block percentage, he's at about 3. He's right even at 3 heading into this game, so it probably went up a little bit tonight. For his career, his block rate is 3.2, which is like really high for a non-center or a non. He's been basically playing 3 and some 4 for most of his career. So I think for reference sake, like when Maxi Kleber was a little younger and sprier, his block rate was like usually between 3.5 and 4. And that was when Maxi used to block shots all the time. So that might have been something like I remember looking at that when they signed him and being like, that's interesting. But he just never played enough minutes that I felt like for it to like really like it's like, okay, is that real? Because he's always been a part-time player for the most part. He's never really been a full-time starter for I think the most games he started in one season was 43. So he's always mostly been a bench role guy. And so it was one of those things where it's like, well, if he's actually starting, like the Mavericks are starting him now, and it's like you're seeing the effects of him playing more minutes, like he's blocking a lot of shots for a perimeter based player. So that's a new dimension that the Mavericks have that they haven't had in the past.
That's nice. That's nice. I before we sort of round out and head on to the next show, I think I want to circle back to my point a little bit, not only about, kind of enjoying the wins. The Mavericks still have places to go when they're, my friend Seth Partnow, he is a former Milwaukee Bucks staffer. He works for an analytics company. He is one of the smartest people in the basketball world. He just asked me, are the Dallas Mavericks good or what? And he's being a little tongue-in-cheek here. I think that question is worth talking about in the sense of the Mavericks have not played their ideal lineups at all because everybody's hurt. You got guys hurt all the time, and yet they're 22 and 15.
Yep.
So, you could argue they were playing what they thought was their ideal lineup to start the year when everybody was healthy, when Grant Williams is absolutely on fire. But then as the season goes on and Williams kind of peters out, they had to find Dante Exum. They had to find different solutions, right? Josh Green's been hurt. Luka Doncic has been hurt. Kyrie Irving has been hurt. Derek Lively has been hurt. Dante Exum has been hurt. Grant Williams has been hurt. Maxi Kleber is still hurt. So this notion that they're capped out and like, oh, we got to find this out. I don't believe they're in a rush to make a change because they're winning anyway. And I just think that's a value when you think about what they still have to come back to. They are not the most unhealthy team in the league by any stretch, but the key people in your top seven, I think the Mavericks have gone without one of those guys a lot the last 25 games. And that matters.
Yeah. And I was saying then they're not all getting hurt at the same time. Like Kyrie misses a month and he comes back and literally his first game back, Exum gets hurt and then Lively gets hurt the next game. So like, it's not, it'd be one thing if these guys were all hurt and missing all the time together and then they come back. Like it feels like it's just one after another with these injury stints. So like you said, like they just, I'll look it up right now. I'm trying to figure out, I don't think Luka, Kyrie, Exum, Jones, and Lively, which I think everyone would agree at this moment is probably their best five that they can put on the floor right now. I don't think that they've played more than like 30 possessions total as a team, as a fivesome.
That's right.
Because again, Exum started the season not really in the rotation, and he explodes when Kyrie gets hurt. So, and then he comes, and as soon as Kyrie gets back, he gets hurt. So they just haven't had a chance to get that look at those five together. And when those five did play together, I think most of those possessions that they played were at the beginning of the season before, like, I think anyone had really figured out, or Exum had figured out, kind of what kind of player he was. Hold on, I'm filtering it out right now. They've played 56 possessions together this season. For a reference, there's usually between like 95 to 100 possessions in a single NBA game. So they've basically played a half of basketball together, if you want to look at it that way, which is that's nothing.
That's what nothing. I'm talking about, where I'm just like, everyone's like, we got to fix this. A friend of mine, Jared Dubin, occasional contributor to 538.com, also writes a nightly basketball newsletter called Last Night in Basketball, has a phrase he uses with me called a solution in search of a problem. When you're 7 games over 500, it's just hard to tell me that this team isn't what you want. Like, sorry, I'm not going to, I don't mean to be disrespectful of people's feelings and thoughts. Occasionally I am, but it's just like, this is the sort of thing that I really want everybody to settle down a little bit. Really want it to settle down.
But also, I don't blame people for being like, wow, if they traded for a all-star caliber power forward right now, you're like, are they title content? Like, or does that jump them from middle of the pack in the West to like one of the top 2 teams because they're playing so well as is? I kind of also understand, that desire as well. But you're right. Like, they really need to see what they look like with those 5. And unfortunately, they've only got about, I don't know how long it's going to take. Trade deadline's in about a month. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. If they feel like they should stand pat and see what they have with the injuries, or if they feel like, man, we're close, let's do something. They might have that decision taken away from them, though, because I don't know if they have enough to even do something if they want to do something. So we'll see. But I understand that kind of.
And again, people aren't going to like me like addressing commenters, but this is an interactive show and I want to talk about it. There's this guy in the chat saying with a handle of nothing, saying the Mavs as presently constructed are a play-in contender. I mean, here's the deal. So there's presently constructed on paper, and then here's where they are in the Western Conference. They are currently not in the play-in. So I understand why you would feel that way, but they're literally not in the play-in. So it's hard to make that argument when they have had so many guys hurt. And I'm not, it's not that I'm disinterested in that thought. It's just like, I want to be able to say, all right, here's where we can go from here. And maybe they're right, because they have had a little bit of a soft schedule. I'm not gonna argue that whatsoever. But it's something that I think is at least worth considering, that, as the season goes on, they're going to be playing teams that decide to kind of pack it in. It's just the way this goes. So I can't seem to pin my own comment in the chat about joining the next show. It's driving me crazy. That's what I'm doing.
There we go. I did it.
Did you? No, that posts the thing below the chat. I don't know what it is. So
okay, my bad.
Anyway, all right, guys. So we're going to hop over to the next show real quick. Those of you who are listening on an audio stream, go ahead and we thank you for listening today. Be looking for the next stream in your feed, probably Monday afternoon. Those of you who are hanging out in the chat, go ahead and hang out, because I'll be right back. Josh, do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. I can't wait to talk about the next game. They're playing well.
All right, this has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe of Mavs Moneyball and Pod Maverick. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We will be right back, and go Mavs. Hello and welcome back. This is Kirk Henderson, and we are on Mavs Party. I need to rebrand the show here in the thing. You can tell this is why I desperately need a producer. I am Kirk Henderson. This is Pod Mavericks Mavs Party. We're having a great time because the Dallas Mavericks just defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves in what is their marquee win of the season. For those of you who would like to join the show, if you're watching over the Twitter stream, send me a tweet or send me a DM, and I will send you the link directly to join the show. If you are in the YouTube stream, you can probably either click or cut and paste the show invite down there at the bottom. We'll talk a little Mavericks here. It's a little bit after 10:15. I'm probably going to keep this to about a half hour max, just because I want to go to sleep. But I really wanted to celebrate this game. This is fun, and we should enjoy fun. I keep talking about it. All right, so coming up first, then we're going to have my man Leo, who I've not seen up here in a while. Leo, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Thank you for joining anyway, despite through the technical difficulties, which is annoying me. I cannot. Why are hyperlinks not working? Anyway, I'll figure that out after the show. What's going on?
Oh, I just want to have two quick hitters. One, this is one of the most amazing wins we've had all year, because any win without D Lively against the caliber of bigs we just faced is worth 5 wins, because it shows the heart, determination, and the fact that our players were somewhat on assignment more than usual. Luka, Kyrie, and my second point is I thought this was a pretty good Josh Green game, even with like 5 points, but the 5 rebounds looked really nice. The was it a steal or a block?
You guys just want to come in here and talk Josh Green. Look, he had an amazing game against Portland the other night. Like, he really, really did. So I gotta not hate on the man when he plays well. So,
but was it good defense, or was this like a good defensive game for the Mavs, or was it bad offense by the Wolves?
I mean, the Wolves aren't great at offense, so if you're forcing them into tougher shots, then it's a little bit of both. The Mavericks played hard defensively, which is something we can't always say.
Okay. And when do we sell Grant Williams? That'll be all. Thank you.
Man, my wife saw him out and about last night. She was out to dinner with some friends in downtown Dallas and saw him at a sushi restaurant. And apparently people didn't recognize him until they did. And then people like bum rushed him, which I thought was a riot. All right, Leo, thanks so much. We'll talk soon. All right, coming up next is Brian, though I saw a couple other people join and then leave. So feel free to join down here. Use that link. I will continuously kind of share it in the chat tonight. And we can, you can figure out how to join. You can either cut and paste it from the chat or, I will send you a link directly via Twitter because I monitor my notifications and things like that during the show. Brian, what's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Just glad for another win. How you doing?
I'm okay. I've had this GIF up of Cat after he had that and one and was making the weird face. I've had that up in my computer the whole time. Like I just click over to it. It gives me life. He's such an unlikable guy.
Yeah, the little fist pump too. That's not great. Yeah, I tell you what, we needed this win. I know you needed this win after you showed up at that game in Portland, and Josh Green proceeded to bust your ass specifically in the stands.
Oh no, but it was also fun because I think, and I'm pretty positive. I don't want to speak out of school, but I'm pretty sure I was sitting right behind whatever young woman Jaden Hardy is with these days because she was taking photos of him, and she was also by herself. And she was like really happy every time he did something. He had a fantastic game too, and I'm kind of a hater of him, so it was fun. It was fun. And granted, like I'm pretty sure you and I might be able to play for the Portland Trailblazers at this point, but you take wins where you can get them.
Yeah, no, I just thought that was funny that you showed up and hit probably either his best or his second best game this season. But this one was really good just because, like a lot of people listening, we didn't have Lively. I thought that was kind of going to be it. Like we did have our 2 stars, but I was like, we'll be able to keep pace. But without Derek, I don't know how things are going to go in the paint. And it just turned out to not matter because Dwight had a really good game. Grant actually gave us I'm loath to admit it. He gave us good backup 5 minutes, especially defensively on Karl at certain points. He was useful. Dwight had a pretty clean game. He didn't turn the ball over. Really
but he didn't die. I go into those games expecting Dwight Powell to die against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he kind of kicked ass.
Yeah, no, he held serve in a way that I frankly wasn't expecting. And so, I got to give it up to him. The last week, really, he's been really, really good. Now, granted, trade deadline's coming up. That brother's trying to keep his job, so I'm on to you. You're not fooling me. But also, I respect the work that he's doing. So I very much appreciate it because we need it without Lively. And then he's going to be back hopefully in the next game or two, next couple games. So that'll be good. And then we'll hopefully hear more about Exum because it going from right heel contusion to something with his plantar fascia, I wasn't excited about that. But again, hopefully it's, mild or moderate and we'll get him back soon. And then we can get our actual best 5-man lineup back out there and actually see that get some minutes with Luka, Kyrie, Exum, Derek Jones Jr., who had a huge clutch dunk, by the way. And
clutch dunk. What a great phrase.
It's just like, because people were getting ready to yell at him because he missed a 3, a possession or 2 right before that because his shot just wasn't falling. And like, I get it. It's super frustrating when guys' shots aren't falling, but it was just nice and refreshing really to see a guy know that, like, be aware that his shot isn't falling and say, okay, I'm just going to catch the ball and I'm going to go to the rim, or I'm going to set a screen and I'm going to run as hard to the rim as I possibly can and hope I get the ball. And I was like, man, it would be nice if every now and then Tim or Josh would just do that when their 3-point shot isn't falling. Like, you know what? I'm going to put my head down and get to the rim.
Which doesn't – in years past, how many put your head down and get to the rim guys have the Mavericks had? Like Brunson, Luka.
Dinwiddie.
Yeah. Dinwiddie, good example.
That's about it. That's literally it.
Yeah. It's just nice. I really just still think there are, if not levels, because if you think this team tops out of the play-in team, I get the argument. But I think that they are capable of winning in different ways that we've yet to see because not everybody's healthy.
And so, in ways we have yet to see because we still haven't seen like Luka and Kyrie like fully locked in on, okay, we're gonna buddy ball this and we're gonna screen for each other. We're gonna run that over and over.
I don't know if we're ever, I don't know if we're ever going to see it because I don't know if that's like for people who are kind of like, I don't know if they fit together. I think that's sort of why, but also I don't mind a little my turn, your turn over an 82 game season. It's too long. Like they wouldn't have won this game without Kyrie and that's fine because
definitely
Luka letting Kyrie cook, I think was a pretty, and there's almost to the point where I'm like, Luka, find Kyrie. And you want that over the course of a long season.
and then both of them, because they're not, either one of them having to like force anything on the offensive end and having to really carry the load because they have each other, they're both able to make like pretty big, especially Kyrie, like huge defensive plays down the stretch that led to us winning the game. Like Luka, man, Luka was pretty damn good defending Karl in the paint, depending whoever that forward was in the paint, where he was just so big and blocky and solid. Like you couldn't just run through him the way that you were able to with Derrick Jones Jr. Or if you got like Josh Green on a switch or Tim on a switch or something like that, you couldn't do that. You couldn't bully him in the paint, and that was a big part of why their bigs weren't dominating us the way that I honestly kind of expected them to.
Right.
That and the fact that Karl is kind of a ninny and Rudy is a clutch.
I'm delighted. I'm delighted you're also using the word ninny. So I've been trying to use it more because I'm trying to think of a non-offensive, very insulting word, and ninny is it. It is it.
Yeah, it's one of those. I'm not the biggest fan of Bill Simmons these days, but when he called Kareem a ninny in his book, I was like, man, that's really cutting. I'm gonna start using that.
You're not insulting his skill. You're insulting his demeanor. You're insulting his style because you acknowledge how good he is without calling him a name that's incredibly offensive, which I occasionally try to avoid. Like fucking ninny, perfect marriage of both insult and intensity. So anyway, well, what else you got for us? Anything else?
I'm just excited, man. Huge win against a really good team. One of the things that they said we weren't able to do, whether we were healthy or not even fully healthy, and we were able to do it. That's good. Hopefully bowl well for the second half of the season. Hopefully we get healthy, and then, we'll see where we go from there. Maybe we make a trade. Deadline's coming up. Grant Williams, maybe. Who knows?
You're the man.
But, yeah,
All right, man. We'll talk soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right, before I bring up Nicholas, who's next, I'm going to implore / beg anyone who's still hanging out in the show here, go down and hit the like on the stream. We got 72 likes and 300 people in the room. If I could get that up to both, that'd be really great for me. While you're there, if you could consider hitting the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. I will try to do these more as the season goes along. We just as an update on my personal life, you probably don't care about. We have the baby sleeping in the crib now, which is awesome. He still wakes up every 3 hours, but it's just a little different. Those of you with kids understand. All right, coming up next is Nicholas. Nicholas, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Hey, Kirk, how are you doing? My English is a bit rusty, but I'm going to do my best.
My English is also rusty because I'm drinking tequila.
Hope you're sleeping decently now that the kid is in the crib.
No. I am jacked up on caffeine at all times, but that's okay. I kind of was before. This has just really put an emphasis on it. Anyway.
And now you have a good game to get a bit.
So it was. I mean, this was a great game to stay up late for. And what I find myself, and I really try to do these after both horrible losses and great wins because I'm kind of really pumped both times, and this is one of them. So what do you got for us tonight?
I mean, I'm with you with the whole. This is a playing team. It's like this team is not imploding. The vibes are decent. They're playing well. Yeah, but they're what we thought they were. Like first round of the playoff, and maybe you win.
Do you want to play them in the playoffs? I guarantee you the Wolves don't. Guarantee it. Maybe the Clippers do. Clippers are probably the only team because, of course, they want to play us.
I don't know if they want to see Luka anymore.
Other
than that, if they win a first round series, awesome. If they not, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah. I want them in the playoffs.
The sky's falling argument.
Yeah. It's not a sky is falling. It's what it is, and this is just sort of the outcropping of what is considered rings culture in America, which is if you're not winning everything, then why are you playing? And some of that happens with a guy like Dirk Nowitzki, for example, who carried the team for such a long time before he won. It felt like the winning was almost pointless because he could not get over the hump.
I remember those days.
And like with Luka's 24. Giannis didn't win his first championship, I think, until he was 26, maybe 27. Jordan didn't win until he was older.
They rarely do before 27.
It's so hard, not just because of the player maturity, but because of the team maturity. And our fan base is desperate for Luka to be validated. He's desperate, and that comes from both like the Slovenia Luka only fans, which I appreciate y'all folks. I get it. He's your countrymen. And then Mavericks fans who have been a part of this for a long time. There's just this desperate need to win right now. And I don't know. I tend to care not about the national Mavericks, like the national conversation surrounding the Mavericks. I want to know what the people I like think about the Mavericks that follow the team night in and night out. And right now, they're good, but they're not great, but they're capable of being great.
Yeah.
And that is pretty awesome compared to last season, where I hated doing this as a hobby. Like I hated it. I mean, and you guys, so did everybody else apparently, because our views and listens were garbage. And so it's so much more fun when they're winning more of their games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the mid-2000s Mavs that didn't win shit, but they were fun to watch, and they were competitive in the playoffs. So,
yeah. And that's
if
all
you
you can
win
ask
a
for.
championship, awesome. We won one in 2011, but in the meantime, be competitive.
That's right.
Yeah,
I think that's absolutely right.
yeah. I mean, that's it for me.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us, Nicholas. Hope you come back.
I hope I do.
All right, talk soon. All right, coming up next is David. David, welcome to the show. What's going on? Oh, no, I brought up Micah. Let's go Micah first. I clicked the wrong button. Micah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Kirk. That was a great win.
It was. It's nice. We're gonna. I have a horrible feeling about work tomorrow now that the Mavericks won, because my baby's not going to sleep at all. Like, there's no all good things at once. That just isn't how life works. So, but for now, I'm going to enjoy this Mavericks win.
I mean, all great things in sports was good today. So
Cowboys won too. It's right.
Yeah, Cowboys won. The Eagles showed once again that they stink, like I've been saying. What else? Oh yeah, the Phoenix Suns are continuing to show that they stink, and yeah,
I need the Lakers to lose though. They're currently beating the Clippers. I need that for my life. I need it.
That's
okay.
That tops it off. I don't know. For standing purposes, maybe they need a win. I don't know.
So what are you thinking?
But, I just thought that was a great game, and yeah, what you're saying in the show is like games like this. That is why you go get a Kyrie Irving.
He was so good, man.
He was so amazing, and he's been so great on the other side of the ball as well. For a 6'2" guy to be that impactful defensively these last several games it's been fun to watch. Right. And
it's him locked in just brings, and I wrote about this and I want to say this out loud. There's an expectation, I think, amongst like some of my more casual friends that are only watching maybe every 2 out of 3 games, that sort of stuff, that Kyrie has to be great every night. And his numbers are always pretty good. But I think like this sort of just absolute explosion stuff is not fair. He's in his 13th year and his feet hurt. And he's still able to do stuff like that. And, what that tells me is that he's obviously still capable of greatness. And, there's the argument has been made. Didn't he hurt his foot against Brooklyn? Or when he was playing against the Bucks when he was playing Brooklyn years ago? Before, like it was kind of what put an end to their playoff run with Harden.
Oh no! That was a leg injury. It was bad.
Okay, but it was bad. So it's like he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to shine over the last several years, and I really want to see him in these playoff moments. I just do. There's a lot of criticism against him, but I think if he's not expected to be the number one dude and he gets to come in and be the hammer that shocks the shit out of teams, because the Wolves were not ready to defend him tonight. Is so awesome.
No, and that's fine, Kirk. Like, people don't understand. It's okay to be a second option.
Yep.
It's okay to be a 6-man. Even in Grant Williams' case, it's fine if your best role is being the 8th man in the rotation.
Water boy, maybe, for Grant. Sorry, that's too mean.
Okay. Oh man, it got cold on playback earlier because we were having to say we had to put up a poll who's been more effective, who's been more impactful this season, Grant Williams or Dwight Powell.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. What else you got for us? Anything?
No, just great win, great sports day. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, I'm
good team.
really glad you joined us.
I call them a good team, but I'll leave off with this. I do not trust them dudes in the playoffs.
Which team?
Minnesota.
Sure.
Minnesota is vastly talented. They're a low IQ basketball team, and until that gets changed, they're not going to be.
There's this old quote, and I'm pretty sure who. I can't remember who said it. It might be, but it's this quote that I read. It was I think it was C.S. Lewis, and it's experience that most brutal of teachers, but when you learn, my God, do you learn? And for someone like Anthony Edwards, when that guy gets playoff experience and he's terrifying. There's there are a few players who like scare me more on a game-to-game basis than Anthony Edwards because he's just a force of nature.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those up-and-coming guys, and you look. I'll leave off with this. We're starting to witness the change of the old guard, right?
Good take.
If you like, Katie looks like he's regressed. Steph looks like he's regressed. LeBron is obviously regressed.
I don't know if Steph's regressed. That team's regressed.
The team is definitely regressed. Come on. He had single digit numbers.
I hear what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, he's regressed.
All right. We'll talk soon then, all right?
All right. Have a good one, Kirk.
All right, appreciate it. All right, so we got 3 people waiting below. We got David, we have team captain Kyrie, and we had another man join briefly who I saw come. Hope he comes back. So I don't know if anybody realizes this, just because it's probably the biggest show we've had in a while. But I bring everybody up when we do these because I want you to feel like you can talk basketball because I have a platform, so it's not like I did anything to deserve it. I just kind of showed up every night. So David, what's going on, my guy?
Hey, Kirk. Good to see you, man. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. I realized I'd missed like 3 shows in a row. Josh is like, do you need a night off? I'm like, no, dude, I need to do my fucking job.
Welcome back. Yeah, man. My voice is gone. So I was there tonight.
You get to go to the greatest games. I swear.
I was at the Knicks game last year, man. I've been
holy cow.
I'm not gonna lie. I took a friend for his birthday who used to work for the Mavs. So we ran into Nick over at Locked On our way in, and so it's been a night. And then last Friday, were you at the Portland game? Is that what
I was at the second Portland game where Luka was sitting and got to watch Kyrie score those easy 12 points, and I was sitting at that end of the floor, and it was very fun. Like my son is small and doesn't he listens, but he's like, trying to teach him basketball stuff, and like it's fun like being able to be like, watch that guy's feet, watch what he does, and the sort of stuff right up close. I scored great seats and just had a great time watching that game.
So you were probably even at a better angle. There was a pass I didn't get to see. Like I don't know if Sports Center's even a thing anymore. I don't watch ESPN.
I know, right? Yeah.
Kyrie like teleported a pass to the corner. I forget who it was, maybe Hardy, late in the game, or maybe third quarter, because like by the fourth quarter it was a blowout. But he did this. He stumbled, and it looked like he was just going to fall over, like clumsy with the ball. And he I don't know. He did a matrix move, and then the next thing you know, the ball was shooting into the corner, and then Hardy hit it, canned another triple on Friday. So that was. I'm happy to see what he did tonight. Like his ability, God, it was good. I did want to say last Friday I got a fan experience treat. I got to go to the presser afterwards, which didn't really I would have rather been there tonight because that would have been insane. Right. But they wouldn't let me ask a question for you. I just want to know what's in Jason Kidd's pockets. So I was going to ask that in honor of the show.
My wife got me that gray team half zip or the quarter zip that they wear on the sideline sometimes. That's the Texas logo. Yeah. It's a great shirt, and I wore it to the game just kind of as a joke to see if they would wear it. And someone was I think it was my friend Tyler, was like, you have to get a picture of yourself with your hands in your pockets, and I forgot, but it's just I don't know, the pockets thing is so funny. The kid criticism though has to be tampered way down, because I think tonight he coached a great game. I think he threw a wrench in the flow, because when the Minnesota called their use it or lose it timeout, and then Kidd came right back with another timeout, and then there was the TV timeout, it was like a brand new ball game.
Yeah, they were just taking the lead. I felt like the game was about to slip, and their series of timeouts were brilliant. And I didn't realize he took out Luka and Kai for that one defensive possession. Like, it all happened so fast in person that I didn't realize, like, all of a sudden I saw after the next timeout that Luka was getting subbed back in. I was like, smart. Like,
I loved it. A lot of rest there in that. And it's kind of hard. It's the sort of stuff that would happen. Like, you don't really quantify it because it's like minutes out of the game, but not really minutes within the game. It was something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and his and his staff's coaching tonight was deft and alert, and that's what I appreciated.
Good, like, that's a good phraseology of it. I like that.
He used it well. But I just want to say that, it was amazing to be there in person tonight. Just for everybody on here, we sat with the most amped up. Two rows directly in front of us was the most amped up guy from Minnesota. He wore like some sort of Minnesota t-shirt, Minnesota ball cap. Every single possession that resulted in a bucket, this guy shot up out of his seat like a bottle rocket.
That's fun.
And it like blocked our view because he was a big boy. And so it was great to watch him sulk at the end after everyone that was like 3 rows back and along our row was just like cooing at him at the end, like just like,
sure. Love it.
So great. Yeah, definitely win of the year. And I was happy they went back to Derrick Jones Jr. on that clutch dunk, because the other guy put well put. But like he was kicking himself. You could see it after he missed that 3. And so I was glad that Luka trusted him. And I wanted to see the aggression because I knew Cat wouldn't do anything. And I was pretty sure Rudy wouldn't. And seriously, Rudy did the Olay thing, and Cat wouldn't even sneeze on him on the way to the rim. So
go review the game log on ESPN or NBA.com. Their last 5 minutes of offense was garbo.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All 3-pointers. They after Ant made an 18-footer to give it the 106-100 lead, they only shot 3s, I think. It was terrible.
3s or turnovers. There was also the botch. The Rudy Gobert got lost like running the basket and then realized who he was and forgot that he can't do that. And meanwhile, then DJJ, I think got Cat. I think it was Cat in a bad position. It was either him or like McDaniels was going up for like, they tried to do the alley-oop inbounds on us. Remember,
right.
They tried to like catch us with the backdoor cut, and just heads up. So I was great. This is the best team win of the year easily to me, and also kind of shows up. I was saying that going into this, that if they can make it the rest of the year with a target on their back over in Minneapolis, then they deserve to be considered like title contenders and favorites. But I don't think they got it. I think Denver's going to catch them, become the number 1 team again before the end of the year, and they're going to flame out in the second round. I think they're the Memphis of this year.
Spicy take. I love it. David, thank you so much. All right, talk soon. I see the chat is crushing Karl Anthony-Towns, which I think is fair. But I just want everybody to know that if Karl Anthony-Towns could become a Maverick, we can fix him. That's sort of how I think. All right, coming up last is team captain Kyrie. You've not joined the show before. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's going on, my guy? Can you hear me okay?
I can, actually. You sound probably the best out of everybody so far, so good headset.
Yeah, gaming headset. You know what I mean? But no, if anyone needs like a fill-in, if you want somebody to fill in, definitely hit me up. I'll be happy. It looks like I am lagging on this end. Does it appear to me to be lagging on your end?
The audio is great. The audio is coming through fine, and that's probably the most important part for me. So what are we thinking?
Okay, so one, I've been a Kyrie fan pretty much since McDonald's All-American. I've followed him every stop from Cleveland to Boston to Brooklyn, so I pretty much know the whole skit there. So anything there, feel free to ask about it. But I was a staunch and still am, get Jason Kidd the heck up out of here. However, when I saw Derrick Jones Jr. was 1 for 6, you once they called the timeout, he was visibly hanging his head. His confidence was low. And then they called the play, or after the timeout, pick and roll, got him to the short roll at the key and got him that big dunk, and he shot it back up. So at that point, okay, I saw that you were in. You made a conscious decision. I loved it. That's absolutely what I love. And as far as the fourth quarter, I mean, we all know Kai's the king of the fourth. I know De'Aaron Fox got it, clutch player of the year. That should have went to Kai. He led the league in the fourth quarter scoring and was handily missing games. So that should have been him all the time. I do want your take on this, though. A lot of people are vying for Siakam. I'm not. I want someone else. I don't think we can get him. But if my perfect starting lineup would be Luka, Kyrie, Omax, Lauri Markkanen, Derek Lively. Because at that point we have 3 offensive stars, Luka, Kai, Lauri, and then 2 defensive stoppers and Omax as well as Lively. I know we're probably not going to get Lauri, but that's would be a dream lineup.
Sure, but if we're just like talking sort of theoretical fun, what would we do if we had the ability? Like I think what Siakam wants is probably the most interesting thing to me, because I'd be very curious to know what he wants out of his career. Does he want to win or does he want numbers? And if he wants to win, sure, because he's a fascinating player, does a lot of things very well. Gives me that sort of, I've been a Mavericks fan for a really long time, that a player back in the mid 2000s that paired so well with Dirk, Josh Howard. He does a lot of things real well, but not a super duper star. So I think in terms of like the mechanics, I think it'd be very difficult to pull off. But in terms of just like fun team building stuff, I tend to like having a power forward or stretch big man shooter like you're talking about, and Markkanen, who is just an absolute killer. I like the concept of having 3 guys that could go off at any given game. Exactly. I mean, that's what was so nice about Kyrie tonight, where it's just like Luka should be allowed to have a night where he shoots crappily and the Mavericks not die.
Absolutely.
And you know, he played really well in December, Kyrie out, but you can't do that for 80 games. And it's just so nice to be able to say, all right. And Luka, I think, realized as the game went on, where it's like Kyrie really has it going, because there are some times where it's like that little 6 to 8, 10-foot range shot for Kyrie just isn't falling. So that happens. It's a tough shot. And tonight he buried a couple coming across the middle over Gobert, where it's like, all right, you're hitting over the defensive player of the year, feed the man. And that sort of element of having this kind of offense with guys that are able to create for themselves, if you added the Markkanen into it, that'd be pretty fascinating. Unfortunately, I think Danny Ainge is going to be horrendous about parting with him.
Jazz and OKC fleece people. If you do a deal with the Jazz or OKC, you absolutely know you're going 3, 4, 5 picks easy, and they're going to fleece you. Like it's just kind of it's just the territory that comes with I see the chat right now saying Siakam over Lauri. Siakam is nice, but I'm telling you, 2 7-footers, the rebounder with Lauri and Lively in the paint. Omax is hands down the best ISO point of attack defender that we have on the team. I know his jump shot isn't developed, but what was it, last game versus the Blazers? He gave you what, 8, 5, and 3? I mean, that's Grant Williams' entire game in about 12 minutes.
Sure.
So, I mean, you get that paired with Lauri, like, okay. And one more thing. The Utah Jazz loss, Cleveland, Memphis without Ja. You take away some of those unnecessary losses, we're top 3 in the West right now. Easy.
Which this Mavericks team, Luka in particular, this is the best they've been about not playing down to opponents. Luka has a real tendency to kind of turn in turds whenever and so that's been really important this year. I did want to ask you, though, as a longtime Kyrie fan, did you watch the Mavericks broadcast or did you watch the other team's broadcast tonight?
No, I always watch ours.
Okay, so did you catch that pretty cool Kyrie stat at the end of the fourth quarter on the rebounding?
Last 4 or 5 games, he's been averaging like 8 or 9.
In the last this 3-game stretch, he's grabbed 26 total rebounds, 9, 9, and 8. It's the most rebounds he's grabbed in a 3-game stretch in his entire career. Which
I love it.
Pretty cool.
I love it.
For a like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't remember how many games Kyrie's played offhand, but like that's pretty wild for a guy that's played. Let me just see total games played.
Yeah, go for it.
Irving B-ball ref. No, not basketball shoes. You can always tell what things I've been Googling based off of my based off
the autofill. Yeah.
All right, nearly 700 games in his career. And that's pretty amazing at age 31 to grab that many boards.
I'm not sure if he made a conscious effort just to rebound more because he understands and is tired of getting beat up on the boards, or the fact that he averaged more rebounds than Dwight Powell last year and is still doing so right now. You just got to have the dog in you. Like, I don't understand. I can tell Dwight Powell's smart. He knows the plays. He knows where the screen. And I can tell he takes care of his body. He stays in tremendous. I swear to God, I'm going to help him pack. I'm going to help him pack if he continues to swipe out that ball. Like, it's just absolutely annoying. I don't understand why he does it. Like, it's another 2 more things here, and I'll head out and give it to someone else. I don't know why Omax and Greg Brown didn't see the floor this game with Ant going off the way that he did. I felt like Omax could have got some minutes, and then Greg Brown. I don't know if Holmes is still out due to personal reasons. He might have been, but Greg Brown having 3 blocks versus Portland last game, and as athletic as he is, is another Derrick Jones Jr. I feel like both of those should have got minutes tonight.
That's got to be a coach trust issue. I can't help but think with how much time Omax has gotten with the G League affiliate, it's a not dissimilar path to Jaden Hardy last year, where by the fourth quarter of the season, the last 20 games, that's where I'm really going to be looking for Omax. I don't know if that will ever earn him consistent minutes as a rookie. I just think it might be too hard. Kid is like, when Omax takes a bad shot or a shot that looks like he can't, like he has no eyes. Like he took one against Portland at the game I was at. He was in front of the rim. So it's like shoot it, like not on the sides or anything too far. Straight on shot that missed left by a foot. And that kid was just like so disgusted. And so
That's
there's
what you're disgusted at?
I know. But I think that's the sort of like veteran coach thing that just drives them crazy. I don't agree with it, but I at least understand it from a like, because Carlisle was the same way, and it's sort of the nature of it. But I do hope
love to see Carlisle with this team right now. With Kyrie and Luka, I would love to see the offensive scheme that Carlisle would come up with. That would
sure. Look what he's doing up in Indiana, the team that's scoring 9,000 points a game. My God.
Absolutely. Where do you think we finish, and what do you think our ceiling is heading into the playoffs? I feel like this stretch here after this 7-game homestand, these next month or so until about February the 10th, I think is probably going to define the season. So where do you see us ending?
So I think if they can actually get moderately healthy and get a string of games together, I think the ceiling is honestly like the 4 seed. That's probably crazy to some people, but I see it. And you look at how crowded the Western Conference standings are right now.
Right.
I mean, there's 3 games between the Mavericks, or I guess 4 games between the Mavericks and the Wolves right now, 6-1. So there's just, 1 win streak, 1 losing streak is going to put you out. I think a realistic place for me would probably be where they are right now.
Okay.
But I don't know. I change my feelings from game to game because there's some games where their size hurts them so badly.
Absolutely.
And tonight just wasn't one of those games. I mean, you play the Wolves. I think like they haven't played Boston at all. That's going to be a fascinating game.
Yeah, I am ready to see that. For some odd reason, Kai tends to tone it down a notch, going against former teammates as if he's still trying to keep it buddy and not offend them. Even though he did show up a tad versus Brooklyn, I do want to see him show up against Boston because he has a tendency sometimes, especially in Boston, to kind of take a back seat, and that's annoying. I do hate, however, when Luka doesn't have it going and J Kidd continues to force feed him as if we don't have Kyle on the team.
Some of me thinks that's more Luka. I don't really know how much.
Like what was it? What was that turnaround like fade? I feel like he didn't need to take that. He probably could have kicked it out to Kyle once he had it going into the third, starting the fourth. Yep. Like I just feel like they need to run it through Kai a few more, but it's working out so far. I love it. But in the playoffs, we all see Phoenix fraud. I'm not worried about them. Clippers are turning it up right now, but Luka has free real estate over in LA, so I'm not really worried about them.
They scare me. They're the only team that really scares me because even though Luka's played them really well, the bottom line is they've won the damn series. And so it just, I don't know. That one's tough. But Denver also sucks because Denver's so big in the 3, 4, 5 positions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
for some odd reason. What was it? I think Jokic won today with like 4 points, 16 rebounds. So they're not peaking
so weird
yet.
Yeah.
I hope that they don't, but there's truly no team that I'm afraid of. Maybe Minnesota, but they're still young and make dumb mistakes and mental errors. But there's really no team in the West that I'm per se afraid of. Because when the games get tight, I'm not going to curse because you got sponsors. But
no, you can curse. I curse a lot.
Okay, when asses get tight and in every single possession matters, I feel like we have the 2 best people in the West in the NBA, bar none. You ask me who I want taking my last shot, and I got a bullet to my head. I'm choosing either Luka or Kai. And I feel like we can go into it with absolutely anybody. But I do hope that we get, somebody. I don't think we're going to make a big splash until next season when we actually have more contracts and more space. But
draft picks to use. That's kind of my hope too. Hey, well, thank you for joining. I really hope you come back.
Absolutely, I'll be around more often, man. See you.
Talk soon. Have a good night. All right, so that's everybody. That was fun. More fun than it ought to be, but it's always more fun than I think it's going to be, just because I've live in perpetual fear that no one will ever join the show. We're gonna go. We'll be back later in the week. This has been Kirk Henderson of Pod Maverick and Mavs Moneyball. Remember, if you can leave a review, leave a comment, do any of that stuff. I just appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This was a lot of fun. Everybody be good. I hope you have a great week, and go Mavs.